October 22nd, 2019, show number 35. What is up, my friends? Yes, welcome to another edition of the XFL Week in Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry from XFL News Hub. On this week's show, we do the XFL schedule recap. We'll go over every single aspect about the XFL schedule, plus uniforms coming soon, and so much more. So, how do you get in touch with the show? It's really easy. All you have to do is email podcast at XFL News Hub with your MP3, your thoughts, or call 888-430-7692, extension 3. Remember, cutoff time is 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. And remember to leave us a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, and we'll read it on the show. We had picked a winner last week of our sweatshirt contest. And oh, by the way, if you're listening on this regular podcast feed, we are live. We are doing the show live on YouTube tonight to talk about the XFL schedule. And we're like, you know what, let's just do the show live. Why not? So we are live, and I think we're going to continue to do live. We'll see how this goes for the next couple of weeks. We'll do the live thing at 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays. We'll do that for the next couple of weeks, see how it goes. And maybe we just do a live podcast from now on. Just keep things simple. All right, so remember, I'll be on Dallas Radio, 1160 AM, KBDT Sports Day with John Clemens. I'm on there every Saturday and Sunday. This week, we'll be talking about the XFL schedule. And make sure you check out the True Freshman podcast. I was just on there a little while ago, talking about the origins of the XFL News Hub, kind of where I got there here. So, friends, without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the XFL. And first up, we are going to talk about the XFL schedule. So, finally came out today. Fans are excited. Site was I wouldn't say off the chain, but people were really excited about it. So the XFL finally put it out really early this morning. I was a little surprised. So they announced their 2020 schedule, a 79-day sprint from kickoff to the championship game. The 10-week regular season starts Saturday, February 8th at 2 p.m. Eastern with your America's team, DC Defenders, hosting the Seattle Dragons on ABC, followed by the Los Angeles Wildcats traveling to Houston for a game against the Roughnecks at 5 p.m. Eastern on Fox. The XFL's first weekend continues on Sunday, February 9th. Remember, this is a week after the Super Bowl. Can I say Super Bowl? Am I going to get sued if I say Super Bowl? The big game, when the New York Guardians host Tampa Bay Vipers at 2 p.m. Eastern on Fox, and concludes later that day as the Dallas Renegades host your St. Louis Battlehawks at 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Additional regular season highlights include home openers for Seattle, February 15th, Los Angeles the 16th, Tampa Bay the 22nd, and St. Louis, the big St. Louis, home opener on the 23rd. We'll break down, because I'm a little surprised by that. I would figure St. Louis would be a first weekend thing. The country's two biggest markets, New York and Los Angeles, meet only one time on February 29th when the Wildcats take on the Guardians at MetLife Stadium. The first of two Texas interstate matchups between the Roughnecks and Renegades follows on March 1st. Of course, tickets, you can get them via Ticketmaster on October 22nd at 11 a.m. your local time for your city. Fans can go to xfl.com/tickets to learn more. We all know about each XFL team will have 5 home games. We'll play a schedule that features home and division series. And, of course, we all know the television schedule. And we know that they're on Fox and ESPN and all that good stuff. So let's take a look right now. Before I want to get into the schedule part, a couple things to note that I noticed with the schedule right off the bat. One was that they did not announce where the championship game was going to be played. So that's clearly coming later. Some teams started a little bit later. I was a little surprised about New York and your DC America's team actually starting early, because it's going to be cold out. I'm going to be there. I will be there in Section 130. That's the plan. Section 130. Come hit me up. Mark Perry from XFL News Hub. I always wear my hat backwards. It's my XFL hat. You kind of see it I'm going to work on getting a new one actually this month, along with some other cool gear. But I'm section 130. You can come hang out and say hello to me, and I'll be at the games too. I'm going to be broadcasting from the games, all the different kinds of stuff. But those are some things that I noticed that I was a little surprised about. But let's take a look at the first 4 games of the schedule. So we got the Seattle Dragons at DC, which I thought maybe you'd have a New York DC or some kind of thing, but Seattle coming all the way across the country to take on DC. The one kind of interesting note is the return, if you're a DC person, of Jim Zorn as a football coach to the area. Jim Zorn, of course, was a not so favorite here Washington Redskins coach. They love him in Seattle. They did not like him in DC. Then at 5 p.m., we have LA against at Houston. That Sunday night, you got the Vipers at New York. Again, I mean, I'm glad that they're not doing a night game in New York or DC. So that's good. But I was a little surprised that they would be the first. And then at 5 p.m. on ESPN, you have the St. Louis Battlehawks at Dallas. Now, I understand Dallas. The one thing that was interesting about Dallas was there was reports, and we were thinking, based on some of what we've heard about the construction, and we'll get into that a little bit in the show, that there might be problems and they might push the home game for Dallas out a little bit because of the construction that's going on to the baseball field, converting it into an MLS and football field. But they put them on. They put them on the late game. You'll have Bob Stoops. You have the return of St. Louis Pro Football. So I guess that's going to be a good thing, and that will be on ESPN. And it makes sense. I figured that Bob Stoops would be part of the marquee game going into the first week. The second week, now you have New York at DC again at 2 o'clock. And a lot of DC's games are actually on that earlier slot, that 2 to 3 o'clock, and not the later slots, which I thought was interesting. Tampa Bay Vipers now got to cross all the way across country for Seattle. That's at 5 p.m. Sunday, Dallas at LA. So that should be now Bob Stoops in LA. And then 6 p.m. again, the Battlehawks away still at Houston. So it's starting the season off 2 away games. The team that finally gets their pro football team back. But who knows what's going on? That could be a convention, all kinds of stuff. Week 3 on ABC, Houston at the Tampa. Then Renegades at your Dragons, 5 p.m. on Fox. Then we have New York Guardians finally, at 3 p.m. in St. Louis, February 23rd, to have their first home opener. 6 p.m. on FS1 is your DC Defenders at LA. So now they're going to go cross country. Those would be DC's first away game, and that'll be the night game on week 3. Now, week 4, remember, there's no bye weeks, by the way. There's no bye weeks. Everybody's playing. We're all in, all the way to the end. Saturday, February 29th, LA at New York, going cross country. Fox has got the Dragons at Battlehawks, 4 p.m. Now, if you noticed, Sunday at 2 p.m., then Sunday, February 16th at 3, Sunday at 3. Now, Sunday, March 1st now moves to 4 p.m. on Sunday, which is really late. You got your Houston Roughnecks at Dallas, your first Houston versus Houston matchup. And then 7 p.m., the night game on March 1st, your America's team, DC Defenders, at the Tampa Bay Vipers, which, hey, that would be fun to go down to that game. Now, just for fans listening to the podcast, you can head over to XFL News Hub. There's a link at the top. You can actually download the schedule right to your computer and print it out yourself. We have it on our site, XFL News Hub, so you can check out and get your very own schedule too. We have it on the wall, and we're already marking off games, looking at it, some away game. We want to do an away game somewhere. It would be a lot of fun, so we're trying to figure that out. All right, now we go into week 5. Back to that 2 p.m. slot. Remember, we moved up to 3. Now we're back at 2. Well, no, this is always at 2. And you'll see the 3, the 4s, kind of mixing it up there on Sundays. But you got Dragons at Houston, New York at Dallas, St. Louis at DC. Now, DC, this is DC's first 3 p.m. Well, it's their first. No, did they play Sunday game yet? The first week, yeah, they've already played on Sunday. But it's that first 3 p.m. game for FS1. Then you got a 9 p.m. game on ESPN. So these little Sunday schedules seems to mix it around a little bit. On the 14th, 15th, you got your 2 p.m. Houston at New York. Now it's going to start to get warmer. And I really thought that they would move more of the DC New York games until towards the end of the season. I mean, if we look at the first week, I would assume Tampa, it would have been reversed. And you would have had New York Guardians at Tampa. Because it's cold, February, those first couple weeks in February. But no, and who knows? Who knows how this is all picked out. So you have March 15th, Dallas coming to DC, 4 p.m. on FS1. That could be an interesting game because Washington Redskin fan, who I've been talking to them and they complain about the Redskins and we talk about XFL and they always say they're going to check it out. You can. Redskins fans, listen up. You do have an option of not Daniel Snyder anymore. Your option now, as I look in the camera, is your DC Defenders. You have an option. You have the Ravens, and I know that could be a little tough, switching teams, but you do have an option now. It's the DC Defenders. You're good. You're good there. You'll be fine. So that Dallas-DC game could be really interesting, and then LA at Dragons. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern. A lot of these kind of like night games, which I kind of like that Sunday night football aspect of it as you're into March and it's starting to get nicer out. Saturday, March 21st, Dallas at Tampa. Then you got 5 p.m. LA at Battlehawks. Sunday, New York at the Dragons. And DC playing that night game, that Sunday night game, 6 p.m. at Houston. But you see, you have March 8th, the night game is at 9 p.m. on ESPN. Then you have March 15th at 7 p.m. And then you have March 15th at 7 p.m. Then you have March 22nd at 6 p.m. These are all Eastern times, by the way. You people on the West Coast, you figure that out. It's still annoying to me. I don't even get it. I understand it, but it's like, wait, what is it? It's so weird. When I was in Hawaii this past year, and I was doing news from Hawaii, it was so weird because we were watching stuff, like I was watching Family Guy at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm like, why is Family Guy on in the afternoon? Shouldn't it be like Judge Judy or something? And no, it was because of the time shift. So different. Week 8, March 8th, 28th, Vipers at DC. Getting back to our slot at 2 p.m. I'll be going to a lot of 2 p.m. games in DC. 5 p.m. on Fox. Look at all these. I mean, you're talking major networks. Fox, ABC. 5 p.m. you got St. Louis at New York. Sunday, March 28th, Houston at LA at the 3 p.m. game. The 6 p.m. game, again, throwing Bob Stoops there at Seattle at Dallas. So how many Sunday games does Bob Stoops have? Sunday games. So Roughnecks, they have, not Roughnecks. Dallas Renegades have 1. Oh, they only have the 1. Oh, they have 2 of that kind of Sunday night bill, if you would. Following the end, the last 2 weeks, now the schedule gets really interesting, and this makes me excited too. I'm a little disappointed that we in DC get stuck with the Saturday game, but Thursday night football, Renegades at Roughnecks, 8 p.m. on Fox. That's Thursday night prime time, week 9, and we should, here at XFL News Hub and all of our XFL friends, we need to have a week 9 party. We need to do something big week 9 because the AAF only made it to week 8. We need to do something big week 9. We'll think of something. If you have any ideas, email me, podcasts at XFL News Hub. But if you have an idea, we need to do something fun. Something fun to celebrate that we made it 9 weeks and they did not. But that will be a Thursday night game, April 2nd, the Battle of Texas, which would be very cool. Saturday, of course, again, every game is Saturday. You have DC at New York. Maybe I should go check out that one. Would that be a travel game? I have to do one travel game. You guys got to message me on the chat room. Which one travel game do you think I should do? With America's team, DC Defenders. I should go to, I don't know. Well, we'll figure that out. Sunday, you got a really early noon start on ESPN, Vipers at Battlehawks, and then 6 p.m. on FS1, you got the Dragons at LA. That's your prime time Sunday night game. Now, here is the interesting part. On week 10, flex scheduling to be determined. Well, game times to be determined, April 12th. So Thursday, you got LA at Dallas again. So clearly the Bob Stoops thing reigns supreme. So you get Stoops at LA at home, prime time. So back-to-back Bob Stoops Thursday night football. Clearly that was planned. Saturday, Houston at Seattle at 2. Finally, they get the 2 p.m. slot. Sunday is a flex with game times to be determined. That's only on Sunday the 12th. So I don't know, maybe they move DC at Battlehawks to 6 p.m. and New York at Vipers? Or does some of these other games change on the 12th? But it says game times to be determined. So maybe it'll be earlier. We don't know. Playoffs, East will play on Saturday, April 18th at 3 p.m. on Fox. Sunday, April 19th, the West Coast teams will play. That'll be at 3 p.m. on ESPN. And then finally, our championship game, Sunday, April 26th, 3 p.m. on ESPN. All games, of course, will be on ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, Fox, FS1, and FS2. Lots of cool things about this schedule. I am really excited that we finally have it. Tickets, who are you going to go to? Who are you interested in seeing? A lot of these matchups, we'll get into it. We're going to dissect this schedule a little bit more on XFL News Hub. We'll have some writers kind of look at the numbers and see who's playing what more primetime games. We'll have all that stuff, and we'll talk about that in another episode on XFL News Hub. But right now, basically being able to check out the schedule is pretty dang cool. And finally, we have it. Finally, we have tickets. Now you can make your times. My thing is, I don't know what game I need to go to a away game, I don't know what way game to do for DC, but I'm really excited about it. Let me know in the chat room. What's a game that you're looking forward to the most? Are you Texas people? Are you DC, Dallas people? Let us know in the comments. We'll take a look at those in a little bit in the show. But let's get into some more news. First up, if you didn't know, we talked about this earlier, but Globe Life Park is getting a renovation for the XFL. So we were previously reported about Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas, that there was they had a press conference and they were just talking about the renovation of the baseball field that used to be the Texas Rangers. I actually was in that park years and years and years ago. It was a beautiful park, great area. So for the 2020 season, it'll be converted into a football field for XFL's Dallas Renegades, and it'll also be used as a soccer field for FCS Dallas. Now, they had a press event, and they had the Dallas team president, Grady Raskin, of course, head coach, and GM Bob Stoops. There was some concern about the schedule and when they were going to have this project done, but if from the looks of it, it looks like they have everything done. The Dallas Renegades looks cool. It's got the Renegades symbol in the back. If you want to take a look, again, you get to check out this article on XFL News Hub, but you can also see the renderings of the soccer field as well. But really cool XFL stuff. It'll be decked out in not only the Dallas FC Dallas team, but also your Dallas Renegades, which I just can't wait. I can't wait to see the uniforms next. Oh, and speaking of uniforms, well, apparently they are coming in November, according to the Battlehawks Twitter account. That's right. So over the past week, the St. Louis Battlehawks were a team breaking news early. First, remember last Friday, we had the Dome, which was the Facebook page for the Dome where the St. Louis Battlehawks will play. Some fan found that they released the tickets of when the games were going to be. And so a couple people screenshotted it. I went back within 20 or 30 minutes, and it was gone. But it was clearly totally legit because it was all over. And I want to thank the XFL fans. Remember, if you find breaking news, anything about XFL, just hit us up on the Twitter. We are at XFL News Hub. It's right over there on the screen as at XFL News Hub. So if you find something going on, just hit us. Just do at XFL News Hub. Let us know. We always give. Here's the thing. We always give our fans credit. Like if you give us something, we will plug your Twitter. We'll plug your whatever you want. If you could like hook us up with some good info, we'll give you props. We always do. On the Battlehawks page, though, it says one of the guys, this guy, Shawn MJ Perk. Any relation to CM Punk? No. He said, proud to be a Battlehawks fan. Well, the official Battlehawks account responded with, welcome to the Battlehawks family. That's very nice. But jerseys will be available sometime in November, so keep an eye out for that. Hashtag clear to engage. So it looks like we are going to get XFL jerseys and uniforms before, I was assuming before Black Friday in late November, which is a perfect gift for XFL fans this year. Of course, you want to be part of the buying season. The XFL would love to have their merch, especially jerseys, out during Black Friday and the Christmas holiday season. So they need to release it that. Now, some people will be like, wait, jerseys doesn't mean uniforms. Well, jerseys are part of the uniforms. You're going to put out a jersey that's not, for me, as a Ravens fan, I have multiple jerseys I have multiple Ravens jerseys, and I rotate them during the Ravens season. By the way, Lamar Jackson, MVP. What? Yes, it's true. Those are jerseys that they wear during the games. So my assumption, based on that, my information, is that they're going to come out with the uniforms sometime in November. So that's going to be great. What they might look like, you can head over to XFL News Hub. We actually have an article about jersey, some concept uniforms that fans made back a couple months ago. We just did an article recently about it. I think Matthew did that one. Or John, I forget who. One of our boys, our crack team of XFL writers, did a thing about that. And it was really cool to see all the different concepts art. And we also gave credit for those who made it. So one thing that's going to be interesting is that in November, which is next month, I was worried that we were going to not have enough content to go around because now that we had the draft, now that we have the schedule, that things were going to die down. And I was a little worried. And I'm like, and we have a bunch of content ready to roll. I'm just holding out because a lot of other things are going on and a lot of other people are covering XFL, and we would get lost in that. I'm waiting for that to die down a little bit. But what's interesting is that in November, you're going to have the uniforms revealed, the rule book should be coming out, and the possible supplemental draft that was talked about as well coming in November. So there's still tons of stuff doing on XFL, even going into November. I mean, the jerseys are going to be, we blew up big time when we had the draft. The draft, there was a ton of people watching us, so it was a lot of fun doing the draft. Just tons of traffic. People are interested in players, and we're working on interviews and all that good stuff with players. Now, broadcast partners. You're going to have to know somebody who's going to broadcast the game. Well, Fox apparently is interested in North Carolina, an NFL Carolina Panther, and fantasy football player on my team, I want to point out, Greg Olson. So 2 weeks ago, we reported that Fox and ESPN had settled on their main broadcast teams, Steve Levy, Dan Orlovsky, and Pat McAfee, who we reported about Pat McAfee earlier, that he was signed to ESPN. Most likely he was doing college football as well as being going to be part of the XFL. Well, that was been confirmed. Kurt Menefee, who does the Fox pregame show, and Joel Klatt will be the main broadcast guys for Fox. Menefee even confirmed on Twitter today, excited and grateful that I get to call a game I love for the XFL and for Fox Sports. Let's do this. Fox announces the broadcast schedule. So he is on board, which was great to see that confirmed. But over this past weekend, the Panthers tight end Olson, he took part in a broadcast for the Giants versus Arizona Cardinals. Again, I have Saquon Barkley, and on one of my other teams, I have Kyler Murray as well. Just want to put that out. And Golden Tate. So that game was on Fox. He worked alongside play-by-play man Kenny Albert, Marv Albert's son. The former NFL Pro Bowler was on his team's bye week, so he was working the game. So according to Andrew Richard, the New York Post, again, giving our homies credit, quote, for Olson, his next stop in broadcasting could be with Fox on the XFL, as there is some interest in having Olson work games as part of its XFL coverage. This would provide Olson more reps if he chooses to retire from playing on his pathway to being an NFL game analyst beginning next season. Fox and Olson haven't had talks about the XFL yet, but they are expected to shortly, close quote. He's getting up there in years. It could be time for him to go. Maybe he might have another year left, but already that's pretty interesting. So what I thought was that to have a current NFL player call XFL games would be kind of an interesting little twist based in his background. And, you know, we know the XFL is a stepping stone for players, so why not broadcast guys too? And Olson's name has been rumored with that Monday Night Football spot, which basically everybody hates people, except for maybe Gruden. Everybody hates whoever's on Monday Night Football as well. All right, friends, we're going to be back in a second with a little cheap commercial break. Cheap commercial break. I didn't say that. Commercial break. We'll be back with your emails and social media stuff right after this. So stay tuned, my friends. All right. Did you know that XFL News Hub has a iPhone app and Android app? That's right. You can download right now on your phone the XFL News Hub app. Anytime there's breaking news, you will get a notification on your phone, custom to your phone with pictures. You can leave reviews. You can, I don't think this one you can do comments. You get notifications. You get all kinds of cool stuff. You can leave us a review. You can get it right on your phone, not only for your iPhone, but you can as well for your Android phone. Links, just go to Google Play or iTunes, just type in XFL News Hub, download your app. You can get this lovely podcast / video YouTube deal. I don't know what this thing is, but you can get all those on XFL News Hub all on your phone. So you can, if you're a browser person, you do the browser thing. If you're a mobile app, native app person, just type in XFL News Hub and you can find your stuff. All right, friends, we are back. Now it's the portion of the show where we go through some of your social media stuff. And we start with our friends on Twitter. You like my little social media message here? That's nice. We'd like to go through some of fans' messages. XFL Chalk Talk says, looks cool. I'm talking about the new construction. Hopefully the construction is unencumbered. The window to complete the project as it relates to the start of the season is narrowing. That's Kenny from XFL Chalk Talk talking about the renderings for the stadium, but it looks like based on the schedule that we're all good there. Sergeant Klein checking in says, the XFL 2020 isn't the at NFL minor league by any means. I know it's folded in 2001, but many of groundbreaking technology and camera shoot you see now in the NFL first was deployed in the original XFL. Amen to that, my brother. The XFL chick. The question is, how much will the on-field experience tickets be? Now, we had the ticket sales. I don't have that with me. We did have tickets. And if you looked at some of the places, especially like in DC, they had like the on-field experiences. But if you look at the messages, they don't tell you the price yet. So I think they're trying to figure out that. But it ain't going to be cheap. I'll tell you that. But the on-field experience tickets will be really cool. Really interested to see if people pay top dollar for that stuff. Matt Foster says, wait, if the schedule already done, why would they wait till the 22nd and not do it on the 20th? Because they're trying to get maximum impact. You got to wait till the football games are over, the NFL games, and then you can do it on a slow news day like on Tuesday. Stone Cold 10X on the Twitter says, at XFL News Hub, he's doing it right. Roughnecks a winner for draft Andre Williams, Coney Elay, Sammy Coates. Looking forward to the season. Go Roughnecks, hashtag XFL Army. That is a great way to get in touch with us, is XFL Army, which I think we might just specifically do that as it relates to this show, because it's getting harder and harder on our Twitter account to sift through the questions versus just people constantly hitting us up all that stuff on Twitter. It just gets it harder and harder to kind of go through. XFL End Zone, all about that Tim Cook pick. He's going to shine running behind the big-bodied O-line. Got wide receivers too. A lot to like about the Guardians. We're not sleeping on them. Guardians, you had a great article out there about the Guardians recap of, I think that was Mickey J with the Guardians. Goes very thorough into the Guardians draft picks, and people are a lot excited about that. Jones143 says, where's the championship game? We don't know. Nothing yet. I'm going to assume it's somewhere in I would guess it would be Florida. I would assume Tampa. I would assume it would be a warm weather place like Florida. But I mean, where can you go that's big time? You want to do it big somewhere. New Orleans, maybe. I'm gonna guess it's either gonna be in New York. I would assume New York, because they're gonna want to do it in New York, and I think that's where it will be, because they'll get the maximum media exposure. Stamford, Connecticut is right there. I always say it wrong, and that's just my guess, but I don't have any clue on that kind of stuff. Let's go to our YouTube comments. I wonder if this is more interesting, you guys watching me read this on the live stream rather than having a picture over. But we'll try this, because sometimes I'm like, what? On to the YouTubes. And we'll get to our friends in the chat room in just a second. I haven't forgot about you, chat room. I haven't forgot about you. On to the YouTube comments. Shed Kaczynski. Oh, no, we already got him. Oh, the Norseman 34 says, I hope they expand to 16 teams next year. That ain't going to happen, my friend. That ain't going to happen. After year 3, maybe. We'll see. That's just my prediction to go wrong. Senju Fohahad. They don't get money from those TV deals. This is true. This is based on one of our videos, the XFL negotiating. But that's an old video. Christopher Evans says, go Battlehawks. Gotta love the Lou in blue. So excited for the season to get started. Can't wait. Us too. That was based on our podcast last week about Colin Kaepernick and Jonathan Manziel. MAGA Cop says Kaepernick is a trash human. Okay. Not very kind words. Chris Mason says, I want Perez, Jones, and Murray rookie trading cards because they will be worth a hundo in a few years. My friend, I have a couple friends who do trading cards thinking that they would be worth lots of money. And like even your best card is like, oh, you could get $2 for it. I remember, I'll tell you guys this funny story about my friend. One of my good friends, Brian there. And so he had some old comics and brought them in to a comic book purchaser and said, hey, like, how much are these comic books worth? And the guy was like, oh, well, this one's worth $50 and this one's worth $60 and this one's worth $25. And he's like, cool, well, give me the money. And he's like, well, no, the $50 one I'll give you $25 for. And he's like, well, you just told me it's worth $50. And the guy's like, well, yeah, it is. And I'm going to give you $25 for it. He's like, well, then it's worth $25. It's not worth $50. So it's whoever's going to buy it. But I cannot wait. I do the stickers thing, like that stickers thing. We always, anytime I go to Target, because if you're an adult with children, you typically go to Target every so often. And so I get the little stickers, the Pizzini stickers. If you want to sponsor XFL News Hub podcast, sticker people, we get those stickers, and I always do that little book. I can't wait till they have an XFL one and I'm totally getting XFL cards. I'm with you, Chris Mason. Connor Cook, great pressure playing, fourth quarter pocket and run and gun should have been a tier 1 in my humble opinion. A lot of people thought Connor Cook potentially could be number 1. They're the first quarterback controversy in the XFL. You got Walker and Cook, I believe. Take a look real quick. We have our tier 1 quarterbacks. Philip Walker for your Houston Roughnecks. And Connor Cook. I wonder why they picked one over the other. They could have went Connor Cook and then picked Philip Walker. Maybe they thought, I don't know. I was really surprised by that pick. But that is your quarterback controversy. Daniel Hudson, I think they should use pro wrestlers like Reigns, who had prior experience. No. No football players. And Chris finally says, LA should have a panther, jaguar, cheetah, ocelot, puma, tiger, or mountain lion on the helmet. Talking about their logos and stuff like that. On to our question of the week. Reaction to the XFL schedule. Not sure what this person wants, but okay. America Guy, 1776. I don't know how my Dallas Renegades play on Thursday night. The last 2 regular season games. Why can't they be on Friday night? Well, first off, there is no Friday night games, so that would be a problem. They want maximum exposure with Bob Stoops. I think they really think, if you were the schedule makers and you're looking at this, you're thinking that Dallas is in the hunt for a championship and Dallas will be one of the most popular teams in the league. But there is no Friday games, friend. There's no Friday games, so how can they be on Friday? I'm not sure I get that part, but okay. On to the Facebooks. Talking about the schedule release. Pat says, I wish Dallas was playing in St. Louis. Okay. Brian says, DC, exclamation point. You are correct. That is America's team, DC. We got to put this one up. This is what I wanted to do. Let's bring it over here. Do you guys see this picture of Shawn Oakman? You guys seen this? This is pretty funny. Oh, let me go back one. Oh, come on. There it is. If you go to our social media, especially on Instagram, it's a picture of when Shawn Oakman just looks like a monster. And I've seen this picture before of him. I think it was before a coin toss or something. He's got a half shirt on, huge muscles, just with his crazy face mask. Awesome. I can't wait to see him in LA. And the caption says, XFL fan says, I don't know what team to root for. Then Shawn Oakman, you will be a Wildcats fan. And then XFL fan, Wildcats it is. So if you check it out, it's pretty funny. That's on the Instagram, our Instagram and Facebook feed. XFL News Hub. Just look it up and you'll find it. It's a great picture. Made me laugh. That's certain. Yeah, so that is for that. And on to finally our emails. Remember, you can email podcast at XFL News Hub and be part of the show. Jesse says, best advice ever. Have the cheerleaders do the pregame, commentary, halftime interviews, postgame interviews, and have young, handsome coaches. I want a 9% of the revenues money once the league outdoes the NFL. Also have attracted referees with no shirts. That is not the best advice. I think Oliver Luck would say absolutely not. And I think that was XFL 2001. And they definitely don't want to do that again. So your advice is not the best. It probably is the worst advice I've ever got on this show. All right, that's a little mean. Finally, our number one hour. So you have your tier one quarterbacks. Cardell Jones, Landry Jones, Brandon Silvers, Philip Walker, Matt McGloin, Luis Perez, Jordan Ta'amu, Aaron Murray. I'll figure out how to say it right. They couldn't even say it right during the XFL draft. So I'm not too worried about it. Our tier one emailer. Somebody needs to be also on our tier one. Whether you email us podcast at XFL News Hub or you email us or hit us up. Call us 888-430-7692 extension 3. Nicholas checking in. He says, after the XFL 2020 draft, it had me thinking about potential candidates for next year already. This is my way too early list of potential quarterback prospects for next year's XFL draft. Here goes something interesting. Okay. Mackenzie Milton, UCF. Philip Franks, Florida. DeAndre Francis, Florida State / Hampton. Kelly Bryant, Clemson, Missouri. Riley Neal, Ball State, Vanderbilt. Mason Fine, North Texas. Jacob Knipp, North Colorado. Case Cookus, Northern Arizona. Jake Bentley, South Carolina. Bryce Perkins, Virginia. We're Hokies fans here, so not Virginia. My brother went to Virginia Tech, that's why. Hokies, which they're not looking very good. Not many Hokies were drafted, I want to point out. Shea Patterson, Ole Miss, Michigan. Ian Book, Notre Dame. These are some college players who could find themselves in the XFL next year. Out of these names, I would be happiest if the XFL gets Mason Fine, Mackenzie Milton, Kelly Bryant, Jacob Knipp, and DeAndre Francis. Lastly, QB names from the pros for next year. But these guys could still be here. We're having a supplemental draft. And at the end of the year, probably another couple guys getting picked up. This is Josh Rosen, which he's not going anywhere. Paxton Lynch, Davis Webb, David Fales, Alex McGlone, Jeff Driscoll, Deshaun Kaiser. That's a good one. Mike White, Tyler Bray, Kyle Loretta, and Josh Dobbs. Here is some interesting names that will continue to generate genuine interest in the XFL. Let's go XFL 2020. Nicholas, our tier one emailer, checking in. So let's hang out with our friends on the chat room. What do we got here? Joey says, is there a Vegas team? No, there's not. Richard said, did Johnny Manziel get picked by any XFL team? No, nobody was interested in Jonathan Manziel. Surprisingly, my guess is the XFL said, hey, do you want to be part of the league? He said, no or yes, but you got to pay me a bunch of money. Same with Colin Kaepernick. And then the XFL says, okay, well, are you making any money right now? And he says, well, yeah, I was in a car commercial for $50,000. Okay, well, then you do car commercials. But your chance of being in the NFL or doing anything else aside from car commercials does not happen unless you play in the XFL. If you want to get into the NFL, you got to play in the XFL. Same with Colin Kaepernick. If he's holding out for more money, like, well, I'm Colin Kaepernick. You got to pay me a lot of money to be in your league. Oh, yeah, how much money are you making playing pro football now? Either one of them. Zero. At least Tim Tebow is making money playing a little baseball. Kevin Randolph, El Mello, hello from San Antonio, Texas. What's up? Listen, San Antonio, you're not going to get a team. None of the teams are going to move. The Commanders were good. Maybe what we should do is this, guys. And I know Kevin might not even be interested in the AAF, but probably. And there's AAF fans out there. I tell you what we'll do. We'll get up our money together. We'll make XFL the ESPN of XFL sports. And we'll make this a juggernaut. And part of our juggernaut as we move and during the summer, we'll bring back the AAF. What do you say? We'll do it over the summer. We'll let not regular XFL guys playing it. Your spring league guys. We'll bring back the AAF guys, but that probably will take 10 years. Zach checking in, of course, one of our superstar who does all of these images that you see. He's the man. Great writer. Thanks for being part of the team. He says, ready for that Dallas at Houston game. I am too. I think that's going to be a good game as well. There's so many games on here. I am so excited. I already told my wife, I'm like, you do realize I'll be watching all these games on the weekends? And she's like, well, I'm like, it's my job. And she says, that's true. It is your job. There's nothing I can say about it. So there you go. So here's what you need to do, people out there in the interwebs, listening to the podcast or watching me on YouTube. You need to work for XFL News Hub. We got guys coming in doing fantasy football, really hardcore analysis on things, fantasy XFL. Like, we got guys coming in. I got people messaging me every day wanting to write for it. So if you ever thought about writing or thought about doing video or even being part of the show, even if you're an emailer, like, hey, babe, listen, we've been married for a little while. I'm a tier 1 emailer for XFL News Hub's XFL Week in Review. So you need to let me watch all the weekend games. Even though my email is basically 10 sentences long, if that, I need to watch games because I'm a tier 1. And she'll be like, okay, that's fine. You can do that. So I'm helping you out. But be part of that. Be part of us. We want you to help us. So if you're interested, just email me, podcast@XFL News Hub, and tell me what you want to be part of. And we'd love to have you on board. I'm like, hey, come on. Let's do it. Stone Cold 10X says Houston versus Dallas. Another Houston-Dallas. We're looking for those games. The Battle of Texas. That'll be a lot of fun. Moses Cortez, go Dragons. No, not go Dragons. Because you guys are going to lose the first game in the XFL to your America's team, the DC Defenders. Case closed. I'm sorry, Moses. I'm sorry that you came in, and I'm a little mean about it, but that's what's going to happen. I hate to break it to you. Goku LeBron, what is the best team be? What will the best team be? I'm just saying, based on the schedule, it looks like Dallas. They've pumped up Dallas. The Thursday games, the prime time. I know you got Bob Stoops, but the coaching staff there. I'm saying my dark horse pick, aside from DC winning it all, my dark horse pick, you can't rule out Mark Trestman. If there was no Bob Stoops in this league, Mark Trestman's Vipers would be the team that everybody would watch out for. Why? Because dude wins like crazy in the CFL. True American checking in. When XFL expands to San Antonio, has to be the next city. Like we said, it's not happening. But maybe if we build up XFLNewsHub.com into a juggernaut, we'll buy the AAF. Maybe $50 is all it will take. And then we can. And by the way, they were like, oh, there's this fancy app, and this app so all this data, and that's what the AAF was all about. Like this special app. I was like, what are you talking about? Like when I saw all that stuff, like, people completely don't know technology. If you don't know, I'm a software engineer by day and a XFL super nerd also during the day and at night too. Finally, Richard Browning, what about Trent Richardson? He did not got picked also by any team. That was interesting too, and that's a good point too. We should also remind me to do an article about the guys that weren't picked. Trent Richardson, we know we've talked about Manziel, we've talked about Kaepernick, but Trent Richardson, I think it's because the XFL was like, dude, we don't want the retreads either. And he was not good in the AAF. I remember people saying in the beginning of the draft, and we talked about it in our coverage, where they're like, oh, well, Trent Richardson will be the first pick. I'm like, heck no. I'd rather have Matt Jones. I'd rather have Kristen Michaels. There was other dudes I'd rather have than Trent Richardson. Trent Richardson was not good in the AAF. He just scored touchdowns. He had like 8 touchdowns on like 12 carries. but he's a leader and he's a veteran presence. So I thought for sure maybe somebody would grab him in the later rounds just to have him on the roster. And maybe that they will pick him up later. I mean, some of these guys that might have got drafted might not have any interest in the XFL. That's where the supplemental draft will come in. And that should be a lot of fun. Just make sure you broadcast the whole thing there. Finally, Richard, when will we get team uniforms? We talked about that on the show. It's looking like definitely in November we will get uniforms as well. All right, so friends, this has been a lot of fun. We're going to do it next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern on the YouTubes, talking XFL Week in Review. Join me on there. Join us on the chat room, and it'll be a lot of fun. So if you want to be part of the show, you just email podcast@xflnewshub.com or call 888-430-7692, extension 3. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, XFL News Hub. Plus, remember, you got our iPhone apps and the Android apps. You can download those. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show. We'll give you a little props. Give us a 5-star. That's how we spread the word about this. Remember, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube. We're doing it live, which is a lot of fun. I like this. TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. For show notes on this episode, you can head over to xflnewshub.com/xfl-podcast. Next week's question of the week. That's what I forgot to do. Ranking the Tier 1 quarterbacks. So, question for next week. What I want you to do, whether you are on the Facebook, wherever you find us, I want you to rank the Tier 1 quarterbacks, best to worst. I'm really curious what you guys think. I think we have the number one in DC Defenders, America's Team, and Cardell Jones. But I'm happy about that. So that's it for me, folks. This has been a lot of fun. We'll see you next time on Tuesday at 8 p.m., where we do another live podcast. Thanks for all you listening on the podcast feed as well. That's it for me, folks. Mahalo to all my friends in Hawaii. God bless y'all. And I will see you all later.